You are watching my favorite YouTube channel. The last time I spoke on DC, about a few hours later, James Gunn spoke on DC. We were talking about the Hollywood Reporter and the article that came out talking specifically about the future plans, and he had something to say about it. You know what he said. So, as far as the story yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter, some of it is true, some of it is half true, some of it is not true, and some of it we haven't decided yet whether it's true or not. To me, when I hear that, I go, okay, this is not a secret anymore. It's not about yourself and Safran in Colorado mapping things out with no one having any industry news. Because if some of that stuff is true, all right then, the cat has been out of the bag. We know Jason Momoa is excited about something with his video. Oh, you guys have no idea. Love you, James Gunn. We kind of think that's Lobo, which means he's not Aquaman anymore. So a reboot is suggested, whether it's a full on or soft reboot where maybe only Superman retains his memory from Flashpoint, or maybe it won't be Flashpoint. Maybe it'll be something. We have no idea how. But phone calls are being made, communications are being made in that Colorado discussion conference getaway summit. That's happening. Saffron and Gunn are definitely talking to people. News is coming out about Wonder Woman and Patty Jenkins and that stuff. If some of the stuff is true, and if you literally confirmed parts of this article, let's keep reading. He says also, although the first month at DC has been fruitful, building the next 10 years of story takes time, and we're still just beginning. It's interesting to me that he uses the word 10 years. That's what Zaslav said. Zaslav told us it would take 10 years to do this whole entire thing, and he's committing to 10 years. The way I see it, Marvel just did 14 years, and it feels like we have another decade coming from them. Don't sell yourself short. Don't tell me it's 10 years. Tell me it's the future, because I don't want to be like expecting the ending after 10 years, because that's what this is. Man of Steel was about 10 years ago when that first came out, all the way up until the Flashpoint, and that'll close out. And we look at it as like a negative. 10 years for any franchise should be impressive, right? For the Harry Potter franchise, they did that in 10 years, about 10 years. And that was impressive, and we're happy with it. For some reason, though, it doesn't feel the same here with DC. 10 years feels like failure. Shoot for more. But he uses 10 years, okay. Maybe year 11 and 12 and 13 is like an idea, but we're not planning out what the movie will be. We'll get there, a few years from now. We'll be thinking about that. And that's acceptable to me and my standards. James Gunn says, Peter and I chose to helm DC Studios knowing we were coming into a fractious environment. How many times did he write that word and then decide, no, that's not. I'm going to rewrite another word. No. Okay, fractious. That's what I'm going to go with. Both in the stories being told and in the audience itself. It's just Twitter, bro. You're good. And there would be an unavoidable transitional period as we moved into telling a cohesive story across film, TV, animation, and gaming. That is what Star Wars is doing right now, where it feels like Cal Kestis will eventually join the movies and TVs, and everything is canon. You mean you're going to get games that are with DC Studios? He has that much power? Games? All right. The TV and animation, I think TV, because Peacemaker already is what he's suggesting. He's in the perfect position for that, as a guy who melded a film with a TV series. But the animation stuff should be kind of separate. I kind of like that there's a separate universe there, and they've been doing fine. Nothing is broken there. The animated stuff needs to be their own canon and just keep it separate from DC Studios. If he understands that the animation are their own canon, they're a different universe, but we do need to not repeat the same stories. And so we'll communicate with each other what our next projects will be so that you don't get a Black Canary movie, for example, and a Black Canary animated show, animated movie. That would be weird, wouldn't it? Okay, so maybe that's what they mean. But yeah, cohesiveness is appreciated. Nothing wrong with this one at all. I was just surprised to hear that gaming will be a part of it. Who's the superhero who gets a video game? Static? Who's the most video game character you can have? Probably Static, because he's young, and young people age, and that's a problem. So I would start with Static. and then you can bring him into a movie. But in the end, the drawbacks of that transitional period were dwarfed by the creative possibilities and the opportunity to build upon what has worked in DC so far and to help rectify what is not. To help rectify what is not means reboot. That's what rectify is. That's reboot. The drawbacks of the transitional period were dwarfed by the creative possibilities, which means I would rather just start some stuff on my own. Those are the creative possibilities. That's what it sounds like to me. We know we are going to make every single not make every single person happy. I hear that a lot. So when I hear about T'Challa and why he should be recast, well, you're not going to make everyone happy. This is going to upset people. It's a reality of life. Every election, there are people who are unhappy because they voted for the other team. It's just, so what if you can't make everyone happy? That's such a non-issue, not making everybody happy. If you make 90% of your audience happy, isn't that a plus? Or are we going to think about the 10 people who were like mad? It says every step of the way. But we can promise everything we do is done in the service of the story. That's good to know. And in the service of the DC characters. I love it. We know you cherish, and we have cherished our whole lives. That's good to hear. That's exactly what I want to hear. Qualified people working and putting in that. I should like that one. There we go. As far as for more answers about the DC future, oh look, he uses DCU. That's another thing that kind of stands out. I remember him saying DCEU one time. There's DCU. There's a lot of ways that we're naming this universe. Justice verse, okay? Remove yourself from what came prior. You're the Justice verse, not the Gunn verse or Saffron verse, not the DCU. The MCU, they already have the three-letter thing down. Let's be different here. DC is the Justice verse, the Leaguer verse, Snyder verse. You see, if you don't name it, they're gonna name it something with your name in it. And I don't want the Gunn verse, and I don't want the Saffron verse. So DCU, he says, I will sadly have to ask you to wait. I will gladly wait. We are giving these characters and the stories the time and attention they deserve. Yes, sir. And we ourselves still have a lot more questions to ask and answer. Good to know. Let's be patient. And then he posts a photo, rather an art image from Alex Ross of DC's top heroes. There's about 10 of them, and every single one of them is black. Isn't black. This is an anti-white supremacy YouTube channel. And what does this image show? If your top heroes worthy of being fit in this comic book cover are all of this skin tone, of this hue, what does that push? The ones worthy. Look, Green Lantern. There's John Stewart. Who's that dude over there in the green? That's Hal Jordan. I don't want resources to go to a Green Lantern movie with John Stewart to show how not racist you are. He's a secondary Green Lantern. Hal Jordan's the main one. I don't want this battle, this 60, 70-year battle. Because that's what it would take to overtake Hal Jordan. John Stewart is not the one. When they dedicate resources to a black character or anyone who's not white, Mr. Terrific's fine. You know who I'd rather prefer though? Someone who has the nickname and is the only one with that name. I'll use a white character as an example. Barry Allen is the Flash. Then there's Wally West. Why the complication? Why? And now when we introduce race into it, why complicate things? By saying, okay, John Stewart's your Green Lantern. But when you think of Green Lantern, you think of Hal Jordan. Maybe some people think of Alan Scott if you're old enough. But I just don't want the... Regardless, Alan Scott came first, right? But Alan Scott is kind of pushed to the side. It's understood that Hal Jordan is the main one. The focus that this company has put all of their resources in throughout the years. Just because the Justice League cartoon had the Green Lantern that was black doesn't mean that he's the main Green Lantern. That's kind of off topic, but guys, there's Icon, there's Vixen, there's Static. There are black superheroes within DC who own their names and they're associated with the title, who are lone not the secondary of their brand. And that's what you should be pushing if you want to make like progress. Because clearly that cartoon from 20 years ago didn't have any effect on this being made. They still decided to go with Hal Jordan. They have two Hawkmans, a Hawkman and a Hawkgirl. They even got a little green arrow over there to the side. There's more green representation in that image than there is black. Black Canary doesn't count. There's two hawks. So there could have been two Green Lanterns. I'm gonna get off that soapbox. I want to show one more tweet here. Ooh, I got a message. Okay. Paste. James Gunn spoke to the Den of Nerds Josh, and Josh first said, where is it up here? James Gunn does not like Henry Cavill. Care to debunk this one? James says, sure, false. Even more people have reached out to me to say, since you said this to tell me you really don't like him. Just saying what I heard. And then he gives the hands. So he's not coming at him with any aggression. James Gunn responds to that. So weird. You seem so plugged in! Exclamation. Why is James Gunn triggered by this enough to respond to it? I feel that, and this could go either way. If they do reboot, then I'm gonna be like Josh was, or the Den of Nerds was correct. And everyone who was giving him information was correct. James Gunn does not like Henry Cavill. Not enough to freaking reboot and use him. And should James Gunn use Henry Cavill, then the sources of Josh, or Josh himself, the Den of Nerds, is incorrect. Or lied even. But when James Gunn says it's false, okay, James Gunn, you're the guy in the chair, you're the co-CEO, it's false. Fine, I believe it. When you respond to Josh, because Josh said people are still telling me this, then it's like, okay, why the need to involve yourself? Why the need to like shoot down other people who are leaking things to Josh? Allegedly, all alleged. I have no idea who Josh. I know Josh exists. I know who the guy is from YouTube, but I don't know his character. Nothing. Could be a liar. Could be telling the truth. But for you to speak out on it, it must mean that you're triggered, James Gunn, on the fact that people are revealing the truth, and leaks are coming out of your conversations, and you must hate that. You feel triggered, James Gunn, and you wanted to put the kibosh on that. Let's read the full thing. He says, anyway, I just had 40 people reach out to me to say you just got kicked out of your mom's basement with a capital M, moms. So sorry, man. So for James to take the shot that way, a little bit on the immature side, triggered is the right word. Why is he sensitive to this? To that 40 people are still telling me since you said this. He must know who Josh. No, he doesn't know who Josh is, because Josh. I know from listening to Josh talk, like Nerd Theory, that kind of stuff, that he's with a woman. So he's a father. I think we know he doesn't live with his mom's basement. So for James to say that sounds like he probably doesn't know who Josh is from Den of Nerds. But for him to like, I don't know, respond to it, he must think that Josh is less involved. Yeah, again, I don't know Josh. I can't speak on like how much he knows or what his sources are and his credibility and stuff like that. It's hard for me to say that. He must think Josh is like an uncredible type of person, and then he's going at him like, "Yo, you're just a clown." Or you think he can just have followers and say stuff? It's probably how he's treating him. But also, like, bro, leaks are coming out, as you admitted in the Hollywood Reporter. Some of it is true, and some of it is half true, which means that you must be upset, James Gunn, at the thought of things coming from these private conversations, which are trying to map things out. You can't really say it's a reboot yet. You probably already decided it's going to be a reboot, honestly, because, for example, how are you going to tell people watch Aquaman 2? It's the end of the universe, so there's really no urgency to watch it. You don't have to know what's going on in Aquaman to know what's coming in the movie next year. You can wait for it to be on HBO Max. You can wait for it to be on TV for free. You don't want to tell people that. You want to tell everyone that you got to see this one because you want to know what's coming in the next one. At least that's how it feels for Marvel movies. It used to. They're kind of disjointed now. But you needed to know Black Widow and see Val to see her in Falcon Winter Soldier and where she showed up in. I think she showed up in Hawkeye. I think Val showed up in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. You kind of do need to see some of these movies to know what's going on. But Yelena, you gotta watch Black Widow to watch Thunderbolts. Yeah, you had a few years actually. Um, James Gunn, DC. You want to hear more DC content? Subscribe. That's a lie. I don't talk DC much.